The Cats, preparing for their first game in the NCAA tournament against Stony Brook, will take you to Iowa for a live news conference from the team.
Kentucky State Police are now investigating after someone came to the Southern Kentucky cemetery and knocked over a lot of headstones, costing probably hundreds of dollars in damages.
And some drivers and city leaders say one Lexington road is too dangerous. We'll tell you one council member's plan to fix the problem.
This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good afternoon, Sam Dick along with Jennifer Palumbo. It is March Madness. The Cats marching to a 9th national title beginning tomorrow night.
UK opens the NCAA tournament against the Stony Brook Seawolves in Des Moines, Iowa. The Cats will take the floor at Wells Fargo Arena in about 40 minutes for an open practice. And UK players are expected to meet with the media. Right now, you're looking at a live picture. There you see Isaiah Briscoe, Tyler Eulis, and Alex Poitras and Jamal Murray. Let's listen in.
Murray, Alex Poitras, and Isaiah Briscoe. At this time, we entertain questions. Please raise your hand, and we'll get a microphone holder over to you. Questions on front row here.
Brendan Stiles from the Sports Exchange. This is a question for Tyler. At one point when you were being recruited, before you chose Kentucky, you were being recruited by Iowa and Fran McCaffrey. How close were you to becoming a Hawkeye before you made the decision to go to Kentucky, and what's it been like for you over the last 24 hours just being back in the state again?
Well, I was choosing between Kentucky, Iowa, and Michigan State. Once Kentucky came in, I just, understood. Once I visited Lexington, I just knew that's where I wanted to be. But, I was really coached with Coach McCaffrey, Izzo, and I just wanted to go to both those schools. Every school that I had in my top 3 was a school I was really interested in. But, at the end of the day, I felt like Kentucky was the best for me.
On the aisle here.
This is going back to your high school days again, Tyler. But when you decided to go to Shannon Ryan, Chicago Tribune. So when you decided to go to Chicago, what intrigued you? Was it the players that were there? Was it just the overall high-profile reputation of Chicago high school basketball? And what were you hoping to get out of the whole experience?
Well, Chicago being such a big city, it's the more exposure, better players, more competition, and coming from Lima, Ohio, which was a small town. I wasn't really getting as much recognition as I wanted, so moving there helped me a lot.
In the back row here, hand raised. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm Mark Herman from Newsday, New York. Isaiah, can you tell us about why you chose Kentucky, but more importantly, what can you tell us about Jamil Warney, who you grew up with in the same town?
Growing up, I always watched Kentucky basketball, along with Duke and North Carolina, but my senior year coming around and Coach Cal came down to Peace Jam, and when I went and took a visit to Lexington, I had Tyler and Devin Booker as my host, and when I went there, it just felt like family, and it's something that I wanted to be a part of. Oh, Jamel's a great player. We went to the same high school, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Like in the summertime, when everybody, like the alumni from Rosedale Catholic, come back to the high school, we play pickup games and things like that. He's good.
Okay, we'll go in the back row here. Been patient with us.
Jermaine Franklin with TSN. Jamal, can you talk a little bit about yourself? What kind of player were you at the beginning of the season? And how would you describe yourself now? What were some of the biggest adjustments you've made?
Overall, just trying to fit into the system early in the season, and at the time, Coach Cal was trying to figure out how we're going to play our 3 guards and where everybody be placed. So now I'm just comfortable with where I am, and now I just play off these two great guards over here. So now we got a great chemistry going.
You've been listening to live coverage of the UK Wildcats in Des Moines, talking to reporters and answering questions. And, of course, Jennifer sitting right there, what many consider to be the best backcourt in college basketball today. And that's really going to be needed as we go into the tournament.
Tyler Eulis and Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray making his first appearance, as well as Isaiah Briscoe, in the NCAA tournament as Kentucky Wildcats. Of course, this is the last time we will see Alex Poitras playing in the NCAA tournament because he will be graduating. Tyler Eulis talking right there. And remember, you can see the Cats open the NCAA tournament on CBS. You'll see it right here on WKYT when Kentucky and Stony Brook face off beginning around 9:40 tomorrow night. A lot of excitement, and we'll have much more to come coming up in sports.
Coach Cal, live from Des Moines, coming up hopefully in the next 15, 20 minutes. We'll bring that to you live.
Okay. Well, an investigation is underway at a southern Kentucky cemetery after vandals might have caused hundreds, possibly thousands of dollars in damage.
State police were called out to the Wolf Pit Cemetery near Corbin in Whitley County. WKYT's Phil Pendleton talked to a man who says the vandals defaced his wife's burial plot and dozens of others.
This rock here, they turned it over.
Herschel Morris says he simply couldn't believe it.
It's real sad. You wouldn't think nobody do nothing like that.
Visiting his wife's grave.
And we'd been married 53 years, and when she passed away, and that's where she wanted to be buried, right there.
But that expensive headstone is now knocked over. Decorations beside it destroyed.
I'd like to just catch up with them. I'd like to meet them face to face.
The cemetery is out Devil's Creek Road, west of Corbin, in the thick of the Daniel Boone National Forest. Morris fears vandals had no trouble not being seen doing their mischief.
They should be took to justice, and they should get the max.
And heavy equipment will likely have to be brought in to restore many of these headstones. Morris tells me he fears that his wife's headstone alone may cost $300 to restore it.
See, we ain't got it lined up.
Some of the damage is not easily seen. Some of the headstones are just knocked off place. This bench was found in the woods and will have to be cemented back.
I'd say between 20 and 30 out through there.
Kentucky State Police are investigating the crime, but the crime scene is in a difficult area to patrol.
My way of thinking, they're not in their right mind. You know, anybody to do something like that. You know.
Morris says part of the cemetery is very old and some of the headstones date back to the 1800s. He says the vandals didn't just deface stones, they damaged pieces of history. In Whitley County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
And Morris tells us that many of the victims probably don't know their loved ones' graves were defaced because they live out of state.
After a series of semi-related crashes on one Kentucky highway, the state transportation cabinet is asking the federal government for help. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Anderson County. The transportation cabinet says it will petition the Federal Highway Administration to remove Grafenberg Road, which is Kentucky 151, from the National Truck Network, which would limit the number of commercial trailered trucks from traveling on that road. The state says more than 800 commercial vehicles travel Kentucky 151 every day. 5 semi-trucks have crashed on that stretch of highway just in the past year. In Campbell County, police are looking for help identifying who might have been in a car that crashed on a bridge and plunged into the Ohio River. The crash happened on the I-275 bridge between Kentucky and Cincinnati yesterday. 12 vehicles were involved in 4 separate crashes at rush hour on the bridge, creating a massive pileup. Efforts to recover the vehicle that toppled over the bridge were suspended early today after officials cited concerns with the rising water level and speed of the current.
Well, the last few days have certainly felt a little bit more like spring. Winter could be making a bit of a comeback, at least for a while here in the Bluegrass. Let's check in now with our chief meteorologist, Chris Bailey, with an early look at the forecast. Chris?
Yeah, guys, we've been dealing with very nice weather overall across the Bluegrass state, and the nice conditions going to carry us right on into the coming weekend. Let me get the Defender Radar Network up here for you. Sometimes the computer, you just got to kind of kick it into high gear, and then you got to keep kicking it. Take a look outside. Cue that radar. There we go. Let's look out here, see what we have across the entire area, and it is mainly clear skies, so that is some good looking stuff that we're dealing with. Temperatures this afternoon, the big story yet again with the blue skies. Those thermometers have been deep into the 60s, flirting with the low 70s across the southeastern corner of the state, and that is indeed what we are left with across central and eastern Kentucky. Those current readings, 70 degrees still into Jackson. Look at Harlan, 72, 73 showing up into parts of the Middlesboro area, 66 Lexington, a little cooler to our northwest, but overall good looking weather here across the entire area. It's another day of the good stuff throughout central and eastern Kentucky. As we take a look ahead, the cooler air filters in, and by the weekend we have a taste of some winter weather that will try and show up. Guys, a new hour-by-hour forecast coming your way in about 10 minutes. We'll kick this computer into high gear and get that hour-by-hour that will show some of those flakes maybe as early as Saturday.
Thank you, Chris. Drivers and city leaders say a busy Lexington road is too congested and hazardous.
And now one council member is trying to get money from the state to fix the problem, but it will cost millions of dollars to enhance a 1-mile stretch of road. Miranda Combs has more on a story that's new at 5:30.
Started from 4:30 to 6 o'clock. It's bumper to bumper.
In one word, it's probably a nightmare.
From 2 to 6 gets pretty congested, it gets pretty hectic.
The people who drive and live along Liberty Road say rush hour traffic has significantly increased, and the road from New Circle to Grafton's Mill Lane is too narrow to hold all the cars.
Terrible. They need to widen it.
That's exactly what council member Angela Evans is trying to do. She lives along the road and says traffic has increased 60% over the past 10 years. According to her research, 17,000 cars come through this 1-mile stretch of road daily. Evans wants the state transportation department to widen the road to 3 lanes and add sidewalks.
10 accidents per month since, I believe, 2014. The average is, 10 collisions, and one actually resulted in a death.
She's referring to Jacob Hamilton, who died in December of 2014. Hamilton was hit and killed by a car while he was walking along Liberty Road. This is a stretch of road that doesn't have sidewalks.
If you're coming out of any of these local neighborhoods, it's almost impossible to make a left turn.
This is the one entrance and exit for roughly 800 residents.
What did she say? Are you trying to get us a light? Yeah, I thought about that too.
The state transportation department has put this road on high priority, but the cost
$24 million
for a 1-mile stretch of road.
A 1 mile? Yeah, that is a little bit too much.
It's an issue for all of Lexington as we grow, and this is an area that has grown.
In Lexington, Miranda Combs, WKYT.
Councilmember Evans is hoping the money for the Liberty Road project will come out of the state budget. She's asking her constituents to call the state and their state senator for the funding.
I'm Bill Bryant. President Obama and Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell may be on a collision course again. Trump and Clinton have big primary wins. The bottom line is ahead.
Brought to you by CareSource. As caring as you.
All S, all P, all O, R, T, S. Pick it up at all sports. Pick it up at all sports.
In Fayette Mall and allsportslex.com, locally owned and operated since 1972.
See green, save green during Green's Toyota's Lucky Green Tax Sales Event this weekend only. 0% APR on our most popular models and get up to $2,000 customer cash on 13 different models. The Green's Toyota Lucky Green Tax Sales Event. Greens.
Think for a moment. You don't think twice about having your eyes tested, but what about your hearing? Hi, I'm Marcia Mattingly. At Beltone, we've helped thousands of people lead richer, fuller lives by showing them that they can hear the way they should. At Beltone, a free hearing test can determine if you need hearing help. Call now. You have everything to gain. 50 years and 3 generations serving the tri-state with the most trusted name in hearing aids, Beltone.
Stay, lie down.
I'd like to take this time.
Roll over. Roll over. Almost. Roll over. Good.
It took Joel Silverman years to become a master dog trainer.
Roll over. Good job.
But only a few commands to master depositing checks at Chase ATMs. Technology designed for you, so you can easily master the way you bank.
What do these women have in common? They are the staff of Ageless Medical Weight Loss. They've lost a combined 1,300 pounds. The team at Ageless will understand your struggles and celebrate your victories. For a medically supervised, affordable weight loss solution, call Ageless today for a free consultation.
Where can you satisfy your craving for a delicious 100% Alaskan cod meal? Right here at Long John Silver's. Enjoy our tasty 2-piece hand-battered Alaskan cod basket, hand-dipped in our classic batter, now for just $5.99. Because at Long John Silver's, you deserve more.
I've covered thousands of games over decades. You think you can beat me? Come on.
Challenge Dave Baker and play the Hoops Hysteria Tournament Pick'em game for your chance to win a 65-inch LG 4K Smart TV. Sign up today on WKYT.com.
All S, all P, all O-R-T, S. Pick it up at all sports. Pick it up at all sports.
In Fayette Mall and allsportslex.com, locally owned and operated since 1972.
Today, President Obama announced his nominee to replace the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia.
But Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is holding to his pledge not to confirm any nominees to the nation's highest court until after the next president is sworn in. Bill Bryant has more in today's Bottom Line.
Good evening. Battle lines are drawn again between President Obama and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell after the president nominated his choice for the U.S. Supreme Court Justice today. The president chose Merrick Garland, a judge on the D.C. U.S. Court of Appeals. Garland is a 63-year-old. He's been a favorite of Democrats and is respected by many Republicans. In fact, Utah Republican Senator Orrin Hatch has urged Obama to nominate Garland for earlier vacancies on the court. McConnell has said all along the nominee will get no hearings in the Senate and no confirmation vote. McConnell also voted against Garland's confirmation to his present job back in 1997. McConnell says the country should wait out the next 10 months until the next president can fill the vacancy on the high court. Coming off a string of primary wins, excluding Ohio, Donald Trump announced today he will not take part in a televised presidential debate next week. He's told Fox News he has prior commitments. The notion of a Trumpless debate led the other candidates to pull out as well. Ohio Governor John Kasich, who defeated Trump in the Buckeye State, and Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who is running closest to Trump in the delegate chase, have also told the network they won't appear. Senator Marco Rubio dropped out last night after losing his home state of Florida to Trump. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton is coming off a big night of primary victories over Bernie Sanders and is turning her attention now to the November election. She told supporters she has the ideas and the know-how to create jobs and lift up the middle class. For his part, Sanders says he will stay in the race until the Democratic convention, and Clinton says she will not ask him to drop out. Kentucky state political parties are encouraging you to, while filing your taxes, check a box that designates a donation to them. That option box appears on tax forms. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Coach John Calipari is talking to the media right now in Des Moines.
Let's listen in.
Started leading a team that he knew nothing about, and neither did we. And by the end, they've come together, and most of it, I'd like to take credit that, it was the coaching. Well, let me just tell you, it's his leadership, and he's coaching on the floor as much as anything else.
On the aisle.
Shannon Ryan, Chicago Tribune. How much of that hard work and energy you said of Tyler's comes from maybe way back compensating for size and kind of having to work a little harder to be noticed?
He's got a chip on his shoulders now. And the recruiting process was not real long. He and Devin wanted to be at the best place because everybody thought those were four-year players. I got a call about Devin Booker today, this kid's unbelievable. I think some teams that passed on Devin are going to regret it because this guy is really good. Well, those two wanted to play together. And Tyler, when he came with his father to see me, it was real simple. I'd heard you're going to get a four-year point guard and a kid that's going to be, and I just said, if you think you're going to be here 4 years, don't you come here. Don't you come here if you think you're going to be here 4 years. And then he just said, where do I sign? Let me sign. Because he wanted someone to believe in him like he believed in himself. Got a big heart. He's coachable. I get on him now, and he'll, he listens, but he gets, so he's what you need. You got to have an edge if you're going to be any good. I mean, if you're really going to be something, you're going to have an edge.
On the aisle right there.
Mark Herman from Newsday in New York. Given that you're facing a team that's in its first NCAA tournament game, what do you remember about the first NCAA tournament game that you coached?
How much time do I have?
Another 10 minutes.
All right, so our first year, we end up playing Syracuse in Worcester. And Jim Boeheim went from zone to man, which I didn't know he was going to do. And everybody said, well, you haven't seen him coach? He always does that late in the game. And we ran this play, and basically we didn't have any play. And my center banked a three, and we beat Syracuse on a banked three. And as we walked off, Jim Boeheim said, "Nice play." I said, "Thank you, Coach." And then we went to Philadelphia, played in the Spectrum, played Kentucky. Jimmy McCoy made a 75-footer, a three-pointer at half. His only he was my shooting guard, only three-pointer of his career. We got back in the game. And I'm not going to mention the official. I got a technical for stepping out of the box, and I didn't. The Spectrum had all those colors, and he thought I was out of the box. I will not mention his name and give him any credit. I know who he is. Should I mention his name? I'm not going to mention his name. And they probably would have beat us anyway. They had Mashburn. They were really good. But that game, by us losing, led to Christian Laettner's catch against Kentucky when Rick should have had the guy on the ball and he took the guy off the ball, and they throw it deep. And the guy turns and scores. So what else do you want to know? I'll tell you where I ate, where we stayed. I can tell you all that if you want to know.
Right here. And then we'll go to the aisle to Pat.
Eric Crawford, WDRB in Louisville. How then, first round, you're generally playing a team that guys haven't grown up watching or heard of, yet you watch them and you say, well, these guys are good. How do you relate that, and do the players have a good feel for that, your players?
We've watched some tape right now, and we've watched the clips they need to see. We'll do more tonight and tomorrow. I try to stay focused on us. But I got to watch the game because we were in Nashville, and we had dead time, and I was sitting there, and I know Steve watched his career as a player and as a coach, and they're down 16. And I go, this guy has buzzard luck. He wins the league every year. In the tournament, something happens, a buzzer beater, and they've had 2 buzzer beaters, or they'd been in the tournament for the last 2 years. And they come from 16 down to end up winning the game going away. And happy for him, and I said, I hope we don't play them. Did not know that my room was bugged by the NCAA. When they heard that, they said, that's who they're playing. We'll work the field around them. But anyway, they're good. Our team knows they're good.
Pat on the aisle there. And then
A very relaxed Coach Cal, smiling, answering questions from reporters, and enjoying going back, Jennifer, back to many years ago, his first tournament. He's a long way from that. He's a veteran now and a Hall of Famer.
Even talking about the loss to Kentucky in '92 that led to the Laettner game where he said Coach Pitino should have had the guy in the inbound. Remember that one? So UK fans are enjoying this.
He doesn't forget things like that.
No, he does not. We'll have more from Coach Cal and the players coming up in sports. You're watching WKYT News at 5:30.
The shocking twist you won't see.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a nightmare.
Until the very last second. New Criminal Minds. Then, each year, 68 million Americans leave the safety of our borders. Some of their journeys take an unexpected detour into the criminal mind.
These people were taken. We've got to get them out of there.
Gary Sinise stars in the series premiere of Criminal Minds Beyond Borders after a new Criminal Minds, CBS tonight.
Sleep is a critical component of our athletic training at UK.
Our sleep experts are the champions at matching our customers to the best bed for them.
This week at Sleep Outfitters, get a free TV with qualifying purchase, like this Sealy Pillow Top Queen Set with gel foam, now only $4.99, plus a free TV. Go to sleepoutfitters.com for store locations and hours.
Sleep Outfitters, official sleep provider of UK athletics. Sleep like a champion, play like a champion.
Life gets better the older you get, and time becomes more valuable. Time to spend with family, time to try new things, time to have fun. At Kroger, you can have your prescriptions filled while you shop, so it's easy to save money and time with your Kroger pharmacy. And you can get back to the things you love.
It's easy to manage all of your family's prescriptions all online. Order refills, view prescription history, and more. Visit Kroger.com/myprescriptions today.
Looking for the best boat your money can buy? Check out Tracker, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Tahoe boats. Backed by the best factory warranties in the business. And Tracker is holding the line on pricing. Most 2016 boats are at or below last year's prices. Like the 2016 Tracker Pro Team 190 TX for $1,100 below the 2014 price. 2016 boats at 2015 prices at the Bass Pro Shops Tracker Boating Center in Corbin.
Ah, the joys of carry-out pizza places. It's never ready when they say it'll be. And if you just want a slice or two, good luck on that. So why wait at one of those pizza carry-out places when fresh pizzeria-style pizzas, whole or by the slice, are yours in just minutes at Speedway? A rich, buttery crust, real mozzarella cheese, and fresh pepperoni, all ready for you at Speedway. Why wait at a carry-out place when Speedway's got fresh hot pizza in just minutes?
The convenience stores of Speedway.
Now buy one slice of pizza at Speedway and get your second slice free.
Shouldn't you have a checking account that makes your life easier? Introducing Easy Checking from Republic Bank. Relax with no minimum balance or monthly maintenance fee. Use our free mobile app to easily send money with Mobile Pop Money. You can even log into our app with a scan of your fingerprint or eye using iPrint ID. Easy checking for your hard-earned money. We're Republic Bank, and it's just easier here.
You may be entitled to $1,500 for each call you've received from any company collecting a debt. Seems too good to be true, but it's the law.
19 pool tables and a full bar. Only at Silver Q on New Circle Road.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Middle of the week, all downhill toward the weekend. At least that's what we are told. Downhill in terms of the actual weather as well. It's a nice little ride, though, downhill right now. Temperatures mainly in the 60s. Jackson 70. I lied, 69. You see it change like that, and down to 69 degrees right now. But we are picking up on beautiful skies, and notice the buds now beginning to show up into southeastern Kentucky. Green, green grass into central Kentucky. Boy, the hum of lawnmowers getting ready to take over now as well. 30 miles per hour with the gusts right now, Lexington and points to the north, but those temperatures are still into the 60s across much of central and eastern Kentucky. To our north and northwest, really no cold air to speak of. Wildcat fans heading up toward Des Moines. Right now it's 58 degrees on a gusty wind. We'll chill it down tomorrow. It'll get cold as we go into the coming weekend. Part of the same system that will make its way toward the Bluegrass State. Defender Radar Network, nothing that is going on. 3-day threat track. We look good tomorrow. We look good into Friday. Both days will feature some green. Saturday, not so much. Rain, maybe some snow. Back into the weather picture. Between now and then, though, pretty good ride, albeit a little cooler the next few days. Still above normal. You got to remember, we have been awfully spoiled. 40s to start out the day tomorrow. Here's a quick peek at that 7-day forecast. Look at that weekend, or maybe just turn your head. Chance for some rain and snow Saturday into early Sunday. We'll fine-tune that as we get closer next week. Temperatures take a surge toward the mid-70s. Keep it right here on WKYT.